Soccer, karate, folk dance, and even drawing are some of the many hobbies of today's featured star. But there's one hobby that made him famous: wrestling. At only 26 years old, Zhan Beleniuk became a world champion and an Olympic silver medalist. Our story today is about competition in life and sports, about childhood, and about the career of Zhan Beleniuk. Zhan's relatives never thought he'd become a wrestler, let alone a champion. He grew up without a father, didn't show any outstanding sports talent, and hadn't shown any interest in wrestling. But nonetheless, his mother was very happy when she found out he'd join a Greco-Roman wrestling club. My mother was glad that I had taken up wrestling. She believed this might compensate for the lack of a father in the family. You see, when two women, a mother and a grandmother, are bringing up a boy, there's a chance for him to grow up, say, too soft. They were afraid that might happen. So when I started wrestling, I had their total support. Sometimes when Zhan was disillusioned, thinking wrestling might not be the way to go, his mother again and again sent him out to train. She constantly reminded him that it was necessary to move forward, not to stop midway. That wasn't something a real man would do. He also saw that sports was a much better path than drugs and smoking. I remember several of my acquaintances used to take drugs. I saw how they withered away before my eyes. So I was doing sports, making progress, and at the same time, a friend I used to play sports with was getting worse and worse every day. At that time, I didn't know what he'd been doing. Some people I've known have died because of drug abuse. As a child, Zhan used to participate in a variety of activities. There were sports like karate and football, but there were other hobbies as well, such as folk dancing and even drawing. When he finally decided to concentrate on sports, he still had to choose which one, but fate seems to have made the choice for him. I take a philosophical approach to all things. If it happens so that life made a decision for me, then it was meant to be. Sometimes one should just go with the flow and deal with what fate has given you. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, basketball or wrestling. And suddenly I got transferred to a group where I'd have to pay. Then I realized that wrestling was the way to go. However, the beginning of the young wrestler's career wasn't easy. He lost more often than he won. He showed good results in Kyiv, his hometown, constantly being in the top 3, but when it came to all Ukraine competitions, he struggled to win. We went to several tournaments in Berehova and Vasokivka. Those were my first tournaments ever. My opponents basically destroyed me. I'm very proud and happy to realize now that defeat did not bring me down. I was confident I would be able to win next time. Every young wrestler, regardless of where they train and study, dreams of getting onto the national squad. The main goal is to try as hard as possible to get noticed. Zhan started to realize his dream in 2006. At the age of 16, he arrived at the Olympic training ground in Konchazaspa, where training for many Olympic sports takes place. There's a big highway there called the Capital Highway. You get off a bus, and there's only that road in the forest. I had no idea where to go or what the training base looked like. I had to ask some passers-by if they knew where it was, and they explained in detail how to get there. It was summer. I found the trail that led to the base. I arrived, settled in, and began training. Zhan has trained at this base ever since. Here's his gymnasium. However, as the sportsman says jokingly, his favorite place at the base is in his room and in his bed. The training is exhausting, yet this harsh training routine makes for a talented and award-winning Ukrainian national team. Artur Dzygasov is the coach for the national team for Greco-Roman wrestling. They call him King Artur, and when it comes to compliments, he's not very generous. But he holds Zhan Beleniuk in very high esteem. He has a clear goal and is confidently moving towards it by working really hard. He trains more than anyone else. Zhan never stops learning, even after becoming a world champion, a European champion, and an Olympic medalist. He's achieved more throughout the last 4 years, and even having all these awards, he keeps on learning something new, working even harder than before. Zhan is stubborn and single-minded. Sometimes he even argues with his coach. I respect his ability to admit when he's wrong. He'll analyze everything, and if he really is wrong, he'll apologize. In a way, the truth is born in the argument. There are episodes neither Zhan nor his coach likes to talk about, specifically the final round at the Olympics in Rio, where Zhan lost to a Russian wrestler.
The
final of the Olympic Games was very stressful. A lot of pressure is put on the participants. This all caused me to miss an attack I shouldn't have missed, to make a mistake. After that, it went like an avalanche. In addition, there was also some judicial bias. As a result, I lost the fight. But whatever happened, happened. Analysis was conducted, conclusions were made. This is sports. This is life. It's all made up of such small details. Who could have thought? It's just half a second. But in sports, this little moment might mean very much. In addition, there's always uncertainty if the judges will give you a split second or not. As Zhan admits himself, this situation taught him a lot. It motivated him to move forward towards new heights and new victories. Now it's time to get to work again. Zhan Beleniuk has already started training for the Olympic Games in Tokyo.
I'm not
the kind of person who sets a goal to become a 10-time champion of something. One would be enough. Life has so many sides to it. There is still so many new things to try myself out in. It would be great to try something new someday. Zhan's dream is to travel all around the world. That is, not just visit countries to participate in competitions as a sportsman, but to truly travel, to find out something new about different cultures and traditions. In time, you come to realize how cool this is. Earlier, I could not understand why people travel. I found it nonsensical. But now I have grown up a bit and understand how short life is. I've lived a quarter of a century, but have seen next to nothing. Taking into consideration the average lifespan in Ukraine, I don't have much time left. One might say that thanks to sports, it's possible to reach new horizons, visit new places. But according to Zhan Beleniuk, such trips cannot be called real travel. On paper, you do visit countries, but it's not traveling, because you never have time to explore those countries. It's like, sure, I've been to the US, but I didn't see anything there. On arrival to a country, we see only the bus, the hotel, and the gym. It's very rare if we are able to go on a sightseeing tour before or after the competition. But that's the whole point of traveling, isn't it? When you can go for a walk, to see something new, to share your feelings about a place. The Olympic medalist has been interested in new things since he was a child. Before he started wrestling in the 3rd grade, he had only A marks in school. He did not finish school with all A's, but B was his lowest grade. It was difficult to catch up with missed classes in physics, chemistry, or mathematics, though it was pretty easy to do so with the soft sciences. I could always make something up, speak my own mind, and the teachers liked me due to this. I was not a nerd. I didn't study day and night, but I was able to make up something in 15 minutes, like an essay, and they liked it.
вигадати.
When I was required to learn a poem by heart, I did it on my way to school or on a break. Of course, I might not have gotten an A or read it out loud with emotion, but it was enough to get me a confident B.
Выразительно рассказывал, но тем не менее, свою оценку, свою четверку я имел железно.
There's a stereotype in society that if one pays a lot of attention to training, then studying is neglected due to lack of time. Zhan Beleniuk has proved otherwise, and not only by his own example. Wrestler Valery Andreev, aside from his sports merits, is successful in science. He's even earned a PhD degree.
При этом он является тоже призером Олимпийских игр, призером мира, призером Европы.
At the same time, he's an Olympics game medalist, World Championship medalist, European Championship finalist. I mean, that means he's a high-class sportsman. And he's a smart guy. He knows what he wants in his life. I can name many people like that. Basically, a person who's managed to attain such significant results won't just be sitting and doing nothing afterwards. Zhan is convinced it's impossible to win in serious tournaments without using your brain. A professional athlete should always be analyzing the opponent's actions, taking note of what opponents they're playing against to be able to save some strength now and then. Because in tournaments, there can be 1, 2, 3, or even more battles.
Не бывает, что прям тупой и прям в борьбе он прям.
The situation where a dumb wrestler suddenly shows some exceptional results is impossible. Wrestling is an intellectual sport. You don't fight guys who do nothing but sit on a couch and eat cookies. They train just as much as you. All of us are more or less equal in that matter, if you think about it. Just a small advantage in cunning or in your tactical approach to the fight. These are the main things that bring you victory. Wrestling is not the only thing in his life. Zhan loves meeting with his friends and going to the cinema and the theater. He recently found a new passion, ballet. And there's another special hobby. Zhan took up video editing, working with clips he films on his own. He learned how to edit video and sound, then created a video channel on the internet. He films a lot about the lives of wrestlers. After his triumphant performance at the World and European Championships, as well as at the Olympic Games, he is being filmed a lot too. Advertisement contracts, photo sessions, interviews. Zhan's life is very busy. It's going to get even busier before the Olympics in Tokyo. The wrestler's dream of Olympic gold keeps him always moving forward and training to become better.